When?
When? Okay, I'm going to begin this public hearing on July 21st, 2026 at 6:05 p.m. We are here to gather community input and have discussion about the special amusement permit submitted by the Bucket Grill and Pub. Does everyone have a copy? Everyone who wants a copy have a copy? Or do we have a couple we can share?
This is just a draft, but they haven't approved anything based off the application.
So my understanding, Cameron, if I'm correct, that the yellow highlighted and the red words are the changes to what was approved last year.
Correct. Other than some formatting, you know, I mean, the folding.
Right, the content.
It would help if I had a mic.
That is correct.
Okay, so if we look at number 1 under indoor live entertainment, the changes requested by the applicant. If you look at B, he would like to change between the hours of 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Last year it was 10 p.m. on Thursdays. This is for indoor live entertainment.
Thank you. For some reason last year a bunch of stuff had got changed. I went back to the one previous to, This is the one we should be working on back off. This one from April 14th, 2021. We had already figured out all this stuff. We had gotten on Sundays 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. On Monday and Wednesday, we had gotten to 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. On Thursday, we had gotten to 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. All in paperwork. On weekends, let's see. On Friday and Saturday, we had it written down 11 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. And then basically it does mostly the same thing after that. But this is the one we need to start working on.
So
I didn't realize last year, we got hours out last year, and it doesn't work for us.
So Lee, what we have in front of us, so what we voted on last year, that stands. And then what I have in front of me, as I understand it, this includes the changes that you requested. So this is the document we have to have this public hearing on. Now, am I correct, Cameron, that if he were to want to...
So he can request whatever he wants. This is what was on the application. What I will say is I sat in this room with all of you last year and you listened to neighbors and made adjustments based off of everybody, not just what the applicant was requesting.
Right.
Which is why some of these times changed. So that's where it got changed from 2021 to now, and that's why it was that way last year. I believe you guys had a very long and lengthy conversation about that, and that was the compromise. So that's why the changes were made. Nobody pulled any fast ones or anything. That's why it was that way.
So what I'm thinking is that, Lee, if this is not the document you want considered, that perhaps we look at you resubmitting what you want it to be, and we can hold another public hearing, because people either came or didn't come based on reading this, I think.
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest thing on that one right now, which things I put in on that one, I didn't realize they were cutting off music so early on Friday and Saturday. That was only 10:30 on Friday and Saturday night. Most of the people on Facebook.
Well, if we look at D, it does allow you 6 times
Yes, I know.
to go to 11.
Yeah, and the paper, the 6 times going to 11, that's, you're gonna use a 72-hour notice, and usually on that, when you do that, that's usually a hundred, something like that. To me, it should go back to what it was, you know, I mean, on Friday and Saturday night, it should be 11 on Friday, Saturday night, it should be 10, 10:30 at least on Thursday.
Sandra, Diane has a question.
Yes.
We did have a,
I went back and,
the community, I know followed on, as well.
Mhm.
We did have an extensive conversation last year about the community residential area. And we do appreciate the accommodations that you made with reducing the hours of the music in the neighborhood during sleep hours. Whether it was, Thursday night, Friday night, we do appreciate what you did. And I as one of the residential neighbors,
I recall that prior to last year, the situation had become, I'm going to use the word contentious a few times. And I would just be curious to know that since the meeting last year, which so many people attended and voiced their concerns, we really appreciate that. Have things seemed to smooth out
yes.
over the past year?
Mhm.
That's fantastic.
Those changes made a big difference.
Up to the amusement that's already happened this year without the permit. There's already been live outdoor music this year and indoor music.
So the only one that we
Last
knew
year
of,
was fine.
the only one that we knew was being advertised as outdoors, the code enforcement officer reached out to Lee, and I believe that event was held indoors, correctly?
Ocean's outdoors.
Skosh was
June
outside.
6th. They have videos on their Facebook page.
So the way that the special amusement permit ordinance is written is, especially when it comes to violations, is the violations have to be reported to us in writing. And Manny, have we received any written?
Not this year so far.
Okay, so that is news. I mean, I think you had mentioned it to me, but we didn't receive any written, because that would trigger the select board would have to hold a public hearing, and then we would have to discuss it, and then they would have to determine whether there was a violation, and in that case, the ordinance outlines what those violations would entail. So
We're not trying to encourage or discourage
No.
or take stuff, but just in order to act on that, we have to go through the procedures. So I would encourage you, if you
Sandra.
would like something like that discussed, you can talk about it, but yes.
I just been wondering, because I wasn't here last year.
Sure.
So the July 6th amusement fall under the permit from last year, because we have dates on here for next year. So I don't know, that's just,
last year's, there was only 3 dates. And this is the wrong folder.
Anything that has happened up until now fell under last year's special amusement permit.
okay.
Despite my typo of 2024, it was August 16th, 25, August 23rd through the 24th, 25, and September 6th, 2025.
So there's nothing.
Those were the 3 dates.
26.
And I remember at that meeting, you guys had the conversation about having Lee get those dates for the following year so that it runs, so that he wasn't running into situations like this
Right.
for the subsequent year.
Which
which is what we
is
have
done
on
here.
here.
This goes through August 2027.
Which, yeah, his liquor license runs through the 14th of August, I believe.
So I would seek public comment on item B, under 1, indoor live entertainment, the request to go from 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on Thursdays.
I would still request that it stick to the 10 p.m. That's still a weeknight.
Okay.
And you're still in a residential area. So I would still request that you keep it at 10 p.m. on Thursday nights.
How about 10:15?
How about 10?
Okay,
Well, we haven't voted on any of this. But
I'm just understanding, this is what I'm saying. Nobody understands money. Okay? I make money 4 months a year, I break even 4 months a year, and I lose money 4 months a year. And in 4 months a year, I lose money, Thanksgiving for the town, Christmas for the town, and all kinds of other things. But I'm losing money that all one time. So in the summer, I have people lost out. All one along, they make money. I do not. Okay? You gotta understand where I'm at. I'm on a different business than anybody else. If I take a week off, I throw $1,000 worth of food. Anybody else that owns an apartment building takes a week off, they don't throw nothing away. Okay? I mean, this is a totally different business in that. Just short, little thought to people. Everybody owns a business has to bring in X amount per day, okay? I gotta bring in $2,500 a day just to break even. Now, after $2,500 a day, I don't make that profit. I still have to pay for the food and beverages and everything else. But that's the point where all the insurance and everything gets done. That means there has to be at least, on what I sell, 100 customers a day walk through. Well, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that don't matter. So I have to do stuff. Either that, or I gotta close in the winter. I don't want to close. Okay? That's where this business is at 9 years ago. Okay? Now you know what a real restaurant does. That's what we do. I pay people to work for me. I make sure their families get fed, their children get fed, they all get checks, they all get paid. Now, somebody that owns a business around here that's a self-employed person, do they have 10 people, 12 people working for them? I mean, I have to make sure if I close in the winter, I have to reopen in the summer with all new people. My people are good workers. They will find other jobs. I mean, okay. So that's why I request this stuff. I don't request this stuff to piss the neighbors off. And now, somebody else in town that owns a different business, they add to their business all the time. Everybody in this town has business. No matter what they do. They hardly ever stay the same. They add more, if they're in apartment buildings, whatever, they add more people. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, and I have to be able to make enough money in the summer to make it through the winter.
Sorry, Lee, I just know people can't hear you.
I mean, that's why I asked for this stuff. That's the only one.
And I know the members of this board, all at different levels, understand how challenging it is to run a small business. Now, particularly in Maine, some of us really get it. And the desire of this board is to support your business, but at the same time to give equal support to the other community members, and not, it's a balance to look at.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that anyone, even the neighbors, are opposed to the business. It's just how it impacts them. If they were located somewhere else, they wouldn't be here tonight. But just like, I imagine if this was taking place next door to your home, you would be here participating tonight. So that's why they're here, because they have concerns. Yes, Ken?
I just have a question. The owner is here asking to stay open on Thursday nights till 10:30.
Mhm.
And there's one resident here tonight requesting that it stay till 10, a neighbor, just one. So how does the board decide what's the balance between the 10 and the 10:30 when there haven't been any complaints all year and there's only one neighbor here? No offense.
I'm a neighbor.
I'm on here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. How do you decide?
So the way we plan to decide that tonight is it is an agenda item at the select board meeting, at which time the select board members will have a discussion taking into consideration all of the feedback that we've received from community members that reached out to us who perhaps weren't able to attend tonight, and those that are here, and have that discussion, and certainly anyone who wants to stay for the meeting and also participate in that discussion, sure.
Can I say something? You know, I've lived in this town a long time. I can tell you one thing.
20 years before I owned this property, there were problems with this property. There were people complaining about noise on the
Property. There were people complaining that the garage doors, when it was a garage, was open, and they were running air guns in there, and they could hear the air guns. People complained about that. That was something that went around this town before cell phones, before the internet. Everybody knew about it. Another thing that was complained about that town, about that piece of property for some reason, is somebody was welding there at a garage, and the people complained about the welding arcs in the trees. Okay? So what business can you run at this property? Who do I have to ask permission to run a restaurant here, a garage here? What can I run here? Because that's where I'm at. Right now, the only thing that basically people want in this area is a house. So if I take and close the restaurant, I put a house there, I can have a band there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Okay, none of those things make sense. This property has been bitched about for 30 years before it was even a restaurant.
So,
Okay.
Lee, I hear your frustration. The only thing that this board can act on is what we have in front of us and the document from last year.
Yeah.
And taking into consideration the feedback we get from these people. We are not going to consider things that people said 20 years ago.
Well, I didn't want you to.
So,
but I want you to know everything I've had to find out since I started digging into why this property is such dangerous. Okay.
And
Since he brought up something that at this point things can be changed, so I will change this thing right on here, hand them to you, and you can see exactly where I'm going. Okay, and whatever we got to do with that. So on Thursday nights, I want 10:50. Okay, and if somebody else wants something different, they can tell me. But on Friday and Saturday night, that has to go to 11:50. It has to. I mean, you can't on Friday and Saturday night stop it at that point in time. And then as far as stuff outside, it really has to be considered just like inside.
so, Lee,
You know.
let's just stay with number one.
Yeah.
I would like to ask a clarifying question. Do you have live entertainment almost every weekend?
No.
So how many times a month would you say you have live entertainment inside?
Inside every Thursday. And usually every Tuesday and every Thursday.
Every Tuesday and
Tuesday
Thursday?
ends up at 8 o'clock at night.
And what about indoors on Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday, when bands come to me and want to do it. And the thing is, the only things I do inside now, you gotta remember, since I've owned the place, I've removed the buck hunter game. The game went bang, 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 if the neighbors complained about it. okay? I've removed almost anybody playing drums inside at all, okay? Now that, I got drummers in this town, they're very mad at me, okay? Because, oh, you can't play drums inside, why? Well, so I've done that. Now, I took the jukebox and turned all the bass down on every, because the neighbors were complaining about the boom, boom, boom jukebox. And that's live music, but that's what I've done. Now, I had a sign out beside the road that I used to advertise Scotiaban and a billboard sign. I was told in the meeting right here that that sign made my neighbors nauseous and just bothered my sign. So did you see a sign? No, the sign's gone.
Was that discussion last year?
No, that was a few years ago.
Okay.
The sign disappeared.
Okay.
Immediately,
So,
you know.
again,
Yeah.
if there's a sign that you want to put up and it's within
Oh,
the
I
code of
know.
town, we are not going to discourage you. Anything
That
that
was my
happened
point.
prior to this board is not something that we can address.
No, my point was, I've been doing this stuff. I've been trying to cut the noise down. I've been doing it all along. You know what I mean?
And
Ever
it
since-
sounds like the neighbors truly appreciate all the efforts this past year. So I hear Tuesdays and Thursdays, but would you say once a month on a Friday or Saturday you have indoor live entertainment, or more?
Friday night, hardly ever.
Okay.
Because it's Friday night, you don't need it. I need it Saturday night. I need it Sunday afternoon.
So,
I mean, but I can't change this because
no,
What
well, I
happens-
hear what you're saying,
what
but if
happens is bands come and say, hey, can I play? And I can't come down here and change stuff every time.
So the way this is written, that with giving 72-hour notice, you could adjust Friday or Saturday to 11 p.m. And by the number of times that you have the indoor entertainment, that 11 p.m. on Saturdays, that would cover this.
Yeah, I know, but that's not really the way I see it does it. So basically, you just took away from me doing any fundraisers at my place. I mean, that's how they work.
No decision has been made.
Yeah, right now,
I'm
I don't
trying to
understand
understand how often
why
you
we
have-
got to a certain place a few years ago and had to go there. I really don't. I mean, I don't understand it at all, after I've done everything I've done to try to make it better.
And you guys talked about this last year. It was because of the incessant complaints.
Right.
They couldn't sleep. It was all the time. That's why the discussion happened last year.
Right.
Yeah,
So
probably.
just a moment ago, you wanted to change the 10:30 p.m. written in red and highlighted in yellow to 10:15?
Yeah, as long as
Is that what
I
you're
get
saying?
after 10 o'clock, so right at 10:01, I'm not violating the thing. You know what I mean? This
Okay.
is, I mean,
So 10, yeah, have a pen that works. Okay. And then what was the other change?
I mean,
That
it
you
used
just
to,
stated you
just
wanted to
remember, this used to be till 11, so that right there is a cutback from it was several years ago.
But again,
Mhm.
we are
Yeah, I understand.
with the documents that we have.
Mhm.
So that's the one change you're requesting.
Well, no, on the one you had from last year, you have it, I have to stop on Friday and Saturday nights at 10:30. That has to go to 11:50. Because when I
Okay,
hire
so
somebody, I
in-
hire them to 11, you know what I mean?
Okay. So, Lee, I'm really not trying to be argumentative, but this is what you requested, is what I'm looking at. And now you want to make changes to your request, and I'm just trying to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you certainly could have put in a request for any hours. Do you have another pen?
What?
A pen that works?
Oh, sorry.
And so item C, are you asking that where it's for Friday and Saturday, that it change from 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. to 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
11:15.
11:15.
Could I say something?
Certainly. Let me just finish clarifying this, and then I really want to
Sure.
hear whatever you have to say. So
Okay.
under part one, see, I have those two changes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to change here for this public hearing?
No, other than the dates I just gave you, but the only other thing I'd like to know is.
Does this have to do with number one?
No.
Okay, all right. Is it Paula?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, Paula, what would you like to share?
I just wanted to say, I don't, have a problem with most of it, but when he says, they get done at 11:15, okay, maybe the music or whatever stops then, but there's always people outside talking, laughing. It's not just the music per se. It's outside noise, and you hear it being next door, and so that's part of it too. It's not just like, okay, it stops at 11:15 and everything quiet. That's not the case. People are starting their cars, turning on their lights, leaving, laughing, smoking outside. I get it. They're at a bar, and that's what happens. But I'm saying, as a neighbor, looking at it from that standpoint, it's not like it stops at 11:15. That's all my point there.
No, that's a fair point. How would you say it's about a half an hour after that time that things kind of settle down?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Thank you for the information. All right, is there any other questions or input?
The only other thing I have, Paula Sullivan again, is last year I brought up the floodlight that stays on all night, even whether the place is closed or not. I don't know if that's controllable. I guess that it's not, because it's just on. So I just didn't know if that was the case, that you just have to live with that. I just wanted an answer. That's all.
No, is this the same floodlight that that we adjusted last year?
Yes.
Was like kind of pointed more towards your property, and he adjusted it down, as I remember?
It still
Okay.
is pointed towards my property. I don't think it's as bright, but it's still on.
Okay.
And I just I don't know, maybe it has to be on for insurance if somebody breaks in or something. I don't know. I'm just asking the question, does it have to be on all night?
Is that
Because
light enough to
sometimes
be-
I like to look out and maybe see the moon, but I can't.
No,
If
it's a
over
reasonable
that
question.
way, I can't.
It's a reasonable question.
Back there, I'll check and see if the timer is on a timer, just to set up, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I had gone up north of camp this week, where at 4 o'clock in the morning, there was music playing all the way up and down the lake.
So the way you have it set up is that it should shut off at 11:15?
As soon as I get back there, I will
Okay.
check it.
So Paula,
It was a mistake, Paula.
did you hear that the intention is for the light to go out at 11:15, and he's going to look into?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great if it could.
If you have any
if it can't,
further concerns about the light, I think that your best course of action would be to call and talk to our code enforcement officer, and
oh,
people will just
okay.
have discussions what can be done.
Okay.
Just so you know, there was two lights and that one was shut right off all the way.
Thank you.
Oh, shut off. That one was aimed right at it.
Thank you very much, Lee. We appreciate that.
That one-
I'm sorry, sir, I made you wait.
So, only time it takes 30 minutes on this grandson. Only time it actually takes 30 minutes for every go speed is when we have like a big fan explosion. That's the only time it took 30 minutes to. Other than that, it takes people like 10 to maybe 15 minutes if that to like ask to be restaurant. If it's like a Thursday, Friday night, it takes 5 minutes to like everybody fail to the restaurant all
Okay, so depending on the activity.
It depends on that activity and what's going on that night.
All right. Thank you for the observation. Okay, do we have any further questions about number one? So moving on to number two, the outdoor area within the property limits may be utilized for live entertainment on the following dates only. How, do we have last year's in this packet, Cameron?
It was in the packet. Oh, you weren't here last, you didn't hear you. Or you were at the.
Oh,
Here's the front page of last year. Oh my gosh. It's too sticky. Everything's like.
So altogether, Lee, how many outdoor events did you have in 2025?
25.
On the last,
Yeah, remember last year your application was later, so there was only 3 on the permit.
would the office have the one before?
Coronavirus fixed all that.
Okay.
No. Yeah, and one of the reasons that was done, because I didn't realize, obviously it was my mistake, that you couldn't do it 72 hours before you do outside. I really should be able to do it 72 hours. The reason I want to do that and have it included outdoor stuff is them, when I do an outdoor thing for that, that's somebody that came to me and said, hey, my relative's got a health problem, or my relative's got killed on Route 4 in an accident. And that's what I've used them dates for in the past. I mean, I don't know. My dad died of cancer, my mom died of Alzheimer's. That's where I'm on.
Thank you, Cameron.
Well, I'd like to know is that the 72 hours can't be used for outside. I actually have to add all kinds of what
You don't-
I'm going to ever use them. You know what I mean?
The 72 hours doesn't pertain to the outside, does it?
It's not for outside.
Yeah,
That's what he
it's
said.
under
Oh,
one,
that's
so
what
it's
you're saying.
indoor entertainment only.
I thought we were on 2, so.
Can a neighbor weigh in?
I'm sorry?
Can a neighbor weigh in?
Oh, of course.
72 hours.
That's what it's all,
Yeah, so we as neighbors for the outside entertainment, we personally aren't impacted by indoor. We're far enough away, but the outdoor we are impacted. So we use these dates ahead of time that there's likely going to be outside live entertainment to make sure that we have a game plan for our kids, because our kids do not sleep on the nights that you have live music, and we're a quarter mile away. We can hear the bass in our house. We have fans that we run, we have air purifiers that we run, we do usually movie nights that night to try to get them to just pass out. But that's what we use those dates for. So if you just add a bunch of dates willy-nilly as like backup, that's
Well,
not
trying to
helpful.
make me.
Well, we can have them indoors though. You can have those entertainment outside.
there was discussion about
Yeah.
people being able to plan ahead.
Right, exactly, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
And I would echo that. I plan to go to there is no one. So the music and the art, but and all the rest and the timeframe is extended, again, from what we agreed upon last year, we've extended, one, two, three, into the 12:15 a.m. Time, and that's not what we agreed upon last year. And then we also, the August 21/22 event, that is passed with liquor license. So that one should be.
Lee, question, when it says, like if I look at the second one, August 15-16, is that two separate events or is that planned for one event?
That's how I read it. It's
Weather-based.
because it goes from 11 until 12:15.
Oh,
so it
okay,
goes into
because
the
it's a
next day.
12:15.
Saturday to Sunday.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you.
So last year it was, from what I have on record, I have 4 or 5, but the year prior, and that was just the summer of 24, was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that was one of the issues that came up last year in the public hearing.
So
was the
summer
number
of
events.
2024, there were 10, and the summer of 2025, we have just 3, and then,
That was 10 plus the way he interpreted, or the way it was being interpreted for the permit was that he could come in here 6 times a year on top of that and have outdoor live entertainment in addition to those 10 that I just told you. So potentially
So-
16.
for summertime, let's look at from June 2025 to September 2025. Do we know how many outdoor events there were?
I've got records of 5, or 4, sorry. I've got records of 4.
So these 3 plus one other.
Correct. Unless I start digging through this and find the handwritten notes that.
Lee, how many, I know I'm asking off the cuff, but, or does anyone know how many outdoor events between June and September 2025?
Well, it's less than what's on any paperwork. Plus than on any paperwork, we had rain out date.
Okay, so the paperwork I have in front of me says 3, and I'm pretty
I
sure,
think there were 4.
so 4 last summer.
Yeah, June 8th, I think was the 4th one. Because that was in that lag period where he wasn't asking for the following summer, which was affecting, because of the liquor license running August to August, and then we had talked about him providing dates for the following summer so that everything would fall in line with his liquor license as
Right.
opposed to.
Right, oh, and that completely makes sense. So we're looking at going from 4 outdoor events in 2025 to, there's, let's see,
Well, that's between 2 summer periods, so.
right. So there would be 4 more this summer. And then next year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
But he'd have to put that August 21st one on his next one, because that does fall after his expiration
Okay.
date. I didn't catch that.
May.
Yes. So if you put those all the dates that we have in office, like the week was
Right, and I think people really appreciate the transparency, and, but I understand there are 2,
I know we're not supposed to go back with all this stuff, but during coronavirus, people wanted us to move on farther apart. I know these people were in here up front. In the year 2021, we had music outside all summer long. All summer long, we had music outside. Did anybody hear anything about it? Did anybody complain about it? Did you, really? I never heard a word about it. I never heard a written complaint about it. I never heard nothing.
So I don't believe any of us were selectmen then, so we would not have that information.
So I'm just trying to point out, we had music outside that whole year.
Okay.
Because of coronavirus, they didn't let me do it, and I was glad they let me do it. And it was the best thing, because we got people to spread out outside.
Okay.
People don't want to be inside after all. They want to be outside, you know?
Yes.
I submitted multiple complaints, so I was correct. And then I would do the last.
And we never want you to feel that way again. Okay.
So as a code enforcement officer, please come to me with any written complaints and with any threats. I will handle
He's great at following through. Yes.
Question, I remember from last year, when we went through all this, ordinance wage rate. Is the 72-hour notice, is that just for indoor?
Yes.
Yes. So, in order for me to get a change to these, the item number 2, to go along with the 72, that would make a change, require a change to the ordinance.
Well, this is a permit.
Right, but no, but what I'm saying is that for the 72-hour pre-notice, that is not allowed for outdoor, only for indoor. The ordinance does not allow 72-hour pre-notification for an outdoor.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
So you're asking, would we have to hold another one of these if he wanted to change one of his outdoor dates?
No, we have to have an ordinance change.
Or a new permit?
We'd have to put it to a ballot measure. It would be a public hearing beforehand, and then it would go on a ballot.
You could amend the permit. It would require a public hearing and then a vote to amend the permit.
So for the purposes of tonight and what can happen tonight, the select board does not have the authority to make any change to the 72-hour notice for indoor.
Right, yeah, we were wondering, what does Lee have to do in order to change his outdoor? So that makes sense, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah. If there's a change to the permit, it would require a public hearing, which would require 7 days notice, I believe is what it is for this. And notice to abutters and all of that, come back in here, talk about it, and then have them vote again to amend the permit.
So,
Yes.
I guess I have this question to the code enforcement officer. What happens if something like this has been changed without no meeting? I got the first one I ever got, it said 12:15 at night.
So the board has the authority to write whatever they want into that permit. So you guys sat in a meeting last year. You listened to neighbors, you listened to Lee,
Right.
and you made a decision based off that. You have that authority. So
So we changed the permit before he filled it out?
this permit is created by you every year, right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously we use a template and we go from the prior year. You make adjustments, you make changes. When you vote on it in your subsequent meeting, those were the changes that the select board made. That's how the permit got changed. So going back to what previous boards did and what they wrote in their permit is irrelevant. That's what this board voted for.
But as far as, so are you suggesting that the select board changed any dates last year?
Well, no.
Okay.
Times and that stuff. So basically, what he just said, he just told me, is the 72-hour one could be changed to inside and out.
We cannot make that because there is an ordinance for the town.
But you can change the others.
we cannot change the ordinance. Only the town, the community, the voters can change an ordinance.
I
The
would-
select board cannot change.
I wouldn't want to talk out of it. I don't think
Yeah,
that
just a
72
point
hour
of
notice-
information that I'm looking at the ordinance and I can't find any
Yeah,
language.
I don't
that
believe
makes
that's
that
in the ordinance.
delineation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
They are the issuing authority for the permit. So they can make that decision. They made that decision last year based off the input from neighbors and listening to you as a compromise to the, you give us 72 hours notice and now the baby's up till 11 o'clock. That was what was discussed at the meeting. That's what they voted on. So that's how those changes happen. As the issuing authority, they have the authority to do that. The ordinance gives them the power.
So what ordinance are you referring to that has the 72 hours?
He was asking for
The
clarification.
special
Oh.
amusement ordinance.
If that was
Pretty
part of
quickly.
the ordinance.
Right, so it's just the indoor or it covers the outdoor also.
So that it isn't part of the ordinance,
Yeah.
I guess is the answer.
I couldn't
I
find any
thought
language about the
That as
72
being on the
hours.
planning board, you were telling me it
No,
was part of the
no, no,
ordinance.
no, no,
Okay,
no,
so
I-
misinformation from me, I apologize.
Prior boards may have been okay with 72 hours notice for outdoor entertainment. That just wasn't what was voted on last year.
Right.
And that's how the permit was written.
Okay. So we're looking at 4 outdoor events between now and September 5th. And there are 7 listed here, but it's my understanding we need to remove the last one because it falls out of the timeline.
Right,
This can cover.
that'll have to be on his next one.
So for this permit, there would be, he's requesting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outdoor events. So Lee, you're looking for these 6 events between May and July, but then with next year, you'll be looking to add probably at least another 4?
Yeah, it'll be on next year's permit, I guess, that's on next year's permit.
So that would be 10 weekends throughout the summer. Right, which is a big increase.
That doesn't count. Any bands can't, one of the bands I hire old and after any rain out.
Lee, I am sure that if the neighborhood could magically put a bubble, but I also, having gone over and visited the neighbors' homes on nights of events, that for some of this time, you're asking people to not be able to have every weekend of their summer impacted. So I also understand why this is important to them. Because we don't know if they have young children or ailing adults or older folks in their homes. We just don't know. We don't need to know. But I truly understand both sides of this, and they are both valid. Yes.
You notice the dates, they never fall on a holiday. Okay. I remember the kids when I first opened, I changed that key. I mean, and now I've heard neighbors say this, that, and the other thing, but 50 years from now, how many of us are going to be here? Wilkinson's will be here. Mark and Buck can still be here, but most of us ain't going to be, could still be friends. Okay?
Well, you'll be talking to a different board.
Just my opinion, we might want to keep this business around. Just
If you get a new sound system, or are you able to like turn your subwoofer down at 11 o'clock?
Well, no, 11 o'clock at time, most of the ever plays. And the only reason I even go 11:15 is I tell them they're up at 11 and they play 3 or 4 minutes after. There ain't a lot of people playing it, and extra time when people complain about it. Now, I had one person complain about me playing it 10:15 at night. Well, my permit was so listen.
And as long as you are within your permit, that they have every right to complain, but as as long as you're within the
Can I point out
permit.
one more thing, and I don't want to say nothing. You guys decide what you want to do. That's 117, state highway. It ain't back road, that's the biggest road in the state, in this town. If I can't have a business there and can't do stuff there, you can't do nothing. I can hear Oxford Plains Speedway every day from that place. So we gotta go to Oxford Plains Speedway and tell them to shut it down. I can hear every morning the sawmill from the place. I'm not gonna go to the sawmill. I moved to Buckfield, one of the first thing that happened to me is a mine blew up behind my house and broke my foundation over there. Is it down here, put it? No. If I moved to a town that there was a mine 100 years before me, life was it up. I moved beside the private town.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to point out some information because I heard a comment about how this was every weekend of the summer. This is alternating weekends through the beginning of the summer, with only two of the events happening on concurrent weekends. And I'd also like to bring some perspective as a restaurant and bar professional. Summer is our most lucrative season, our most dependable season, sometimes, depending. This year hasn't been as great as previous years. And nights like these bring serious money into tipped workers' pockets. So I just want to recognize those points. I'd also be curious to know, I understand, we all enjoy our quiet. Sometimes that gets interrupted, and it's kind of nice that this gives people a heads up of when to look for that. I personally would be curious to know how many of the complaints submitted are coming from people who bought the property before it was a bar and restaurant, but I don't expect to receive that information tonight.
I did a lot of property something years ago. We were there way before.
I'm on fourth generation land.
Okay. Yep. Are you the only two complaints that have been received?
Always been there longer than I have.
Okay.
I let you park your cars on my property to build your house. Okay? Their house got built with their cars parking on my property. Because I didn't want their cars parked on the road. Because she says she's been there 30 years. She hasn't. There's no way her car is parked on my driveway to build her house. So she just lied to me. Just lied.
Lee,
All right.
come on. She did live right next door. I mean, potato.
Thank you.
Okay, any other information people want to share for number 2?
12:15 is really late. Really late. In 2024, there was a lot of complaints also because the band did play till 11:30, 11:35, 11:40, 11:45. So I think that got rectified last year. So to go backwards again. We have videos from 2024, probably.
Is there any chance, Lee, that you have any data or information showing attendance for events that end earlier than others?
Events that end earlier than others, it's just the people that come to the venue. I mean, some bands, like Stoge, they're from Buckfield over there, Buckfield. They live right here, 2 of them live right here. Because they're from here, they haul a lot of people in.
I was just curious if you saw a difference in attendance, if Scotia's there and they stop playing at 10 versus stop playing at 11. If attendance.
If you notice, the only one that goes later to 12:15, and one that goes 12:15, they're only, if I have it to 12:15, it's only because it's only because the band that I have to pay $1,200 for, I need to get sent out.
And what time do they start on those events?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, so there's no chance of starting an hour earlier?
Well, the problem in the summertime is people go out and they go out 4 hours after dark. Now, in the wintertime, 4 hours after dark, they're done and back home by 9 o'clock at night. They're closing up shop. In the summertime, it doesn't get dark till 8:30 at night. So people just don't even start going out. I'm a person that worked my whole
Any other?
Preface one to be that Lake and Scotia's so loud. They're the loudest band, unfortunately. They're the ones that want to go the latest. I'm all for live music. I love that you have live music there. If it wasn't amplified, it wouldn't impact as far out as it does around the bucket.
Yes.
I'm looking at the ordinance, section 6, rules and regulations. A, live entertainment as defined in this ordinance shall be allowed. I can't find the definition.
The definition is under section 4. Live entertainment shall mean any music, dancing, amusement, performance, and/or exhibition permitted by the license on premises of a licensed establishment. Radios, TVs, or other mechanical devices are not considered live entertainment.
Dancing,
Thank you, Zoe. Yes, Lee.
Just to point out, the way that ordinance is written, if I have an Easter bunny playing a guitar on Easter Sunday, that's licensed. Okay, see how this ordinance works? That technically is live music. I say they play a person, get an Easter bunny and play a guitar, the kids on Easter Sunday, that's live music. And that's what I have to deal with, okay? So this isn't just scope. This is, I have a person who has had Lyme disease. Couldn't talk, couldn't walk, couldn't do nothing. They took a driver's license. Guess what she do now? She started singing, playing music, talk, she walks, she drives the car. They like to play outside of my place every Sunday if I let her. You know what I mean? This is one person on a guitar. That's classified the same as.
So I'm thinking that in the future, it might be worth people getting together and brainstorming. I am confident that if you had an Easter bunny that wanted to play the guitar for children on Easter, as long as it wasn't really amplified, that no one would have issue with that. So how, in the future, how would we put together a permit? What would you put in to allow some flexibility? Now, that's not a part of this one, but I think that there are solutions to a lot of those challenges.
In 2021, people keep on saying I have a lot of complaints, but I never had a complaint. Never had written complaint, never heard a complaint that year. That year, people played out back all summer long.
So
and that was, I never had more than 2 people, and I never had a drum set. You know what I mean?
So if there were no complaints, I'm happy to hear that. But again, we can only work with this.
Well, you asked me what we could do. Maybe if you have a duo or something like that, you don't have the drum set. Maybe I should be able to have drum set anytime I want. You know, I mean, insight.
Or right, to have those discussions that you asked specifically to be able to have an acoustic guitar on Sunday afternoons, to include some flexibility for yourself that I'm thinking that other people would be, say that that's okay. But as far as for this application. Any other comments, feedback?
You have a hand raised.
Oh, yes.
We have asked the council and councils involved in echo sensors. So if it is loud in some places, because it echoes to other places.
You're right. It's sound travels. There are some corridors that.
Just so you know, I have.
I'm sorry?
I have an. I walk straight to the drums. I walk around the whole property line. I stand beside my road at my place. Even with Scotia, the loudest band around playing, and a truck or car goes by, any vehicle goes by. And guess what? My vehicle jumps right up, 5, 10, right up when the car drives by. At my property line, I am quieter than the car drives. I guarantee it because I keep checking all the time.
Okay. Yes.
Can I just suggest a compromise?
Certainly.
If, sounds to me, I'm not a direct neighbor, so I'm not a dog in this ring. just listening to everything here. There's a lot of dates here, a lot of times. They could use all of these dates, but limit them all to 11:15. They're closed. Is that a compromise that would work for the neighbors?
Work for me. Thank you.
Your suggestion.
What do the neighbors think about accepting these dates on this piece of paper, knowing that 4 of them are this year and 6 of them are next summer?
You don't want to speak for my neighbors.
No, I'm asking the people here.
For this year, I would agree with Buckfield. I do have an issue with, June 5th, 26th. 3 events, for weekend, like that, come back to, every other, taking issue. So that would be my only request.
Yeah, that was similar. The only sticking point is if it's like every single weekend that's hard to plan around. I don't care how many unamplified events, in my opinion, you don't hear those. I'm not a neighbor that hears if they're unamplified. I think it's cool. We go outside and we're like, oh, cool, they have live music this weekend. It's the amplified ones that we hear and feel in our home. But yeah, the 3 weekends in a row is rough. It's like 2 of the 3 are amplified. That's really rough. Yeah, it's not the 150.
So looking at a calendar, Zelda, is there a place between May 22nd and July 31st where you could pull one out and put one in?
Yeah, so the only concurrent ones are the 5th and the 12th, and then they go back to alternating weekends. The 22nd is a weekend he has listed. There's the weekend of the 29th in between the 5th. Then from the 5th, the immediate weekend after that is the 12th, and then he takes the 19th off, and then he's the 26th on. And then he does 2 weekends off to make it to July 17th, and then a weekend off on the 24th, and then jump to the 31st. That's a weekend off on. So he has a 2 weekend in a row, and then he also, in between June and July, early July, he has 2 weekends off.
So Lee, do you have the flexibility, looking at starting on the June 5th, 6th? To change, I'm not asking you to reduce the number, I'm not saying reduce the numbers, but instead of doing some of these back-to-back weekends, to go every other weekend.
Well, June 12th is the only one I could move, because all the rest of them already have people counting on playing in my place. They wanted to put the traffic for the 4th, so you have.
Yep.
Not me.
But certainly next year, you can go real early if you want. I mean, you can come in as early as you want with this.
I guess, if we did it so like that comes back to 72 hours. If you let me do 72 hours and inside out, I'd take the 12th right out, no problem. That's easy, because now I'm dealing with, a band comes to me and says, oh, they canceled me someplace else, I want to play for you, pennies on a dollar, because I want to play, you know what I mean? But then I have to have the 72 hours later. See how that works?
I do see how that works, but that aside, just looking at these dates, because these are the things we're going to have to talk about. I'm hearing people wanting every other weekend, and I didn't know if between May 22nd and July, or even to go after July 31st. So it would be pulling that June 12th out of there and going
Like first or second.
right.
That'd be fine.
whichever one
So
neighbors was gonna.
so July 31st, and then not the following weekend, but the weekend after that would be what date? Thank you.
August 14th.
August what?
August
14th.
14th
Which is the day his license expires. So I guess it could fall under this, right?
technically falls under this one. Okay.
But then it would bump up against the 21st and 22nd, which is the next
But
week.
that's
So, yeah,
A
right.
on the
future.
next.
So he can do it after.
So, Lee, it would be acceptable to you to change this June 12th, 2027 to August 14th, 2027?
Yes.
Okay.
Same time frame.
That one's to 11:15. So that leaves two events on here that go past midnight.
No, you agree that.
Okay.
That too, but I have no problem with 11:50.
11:15, as long as we keep the same number of events. Is acceptable to you? Paula, are you hearing any of this?
Yes, I am. I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for asking, Berkeley. All right, I think we're ready to bring this public hearing to a close. Thank you very much, everyone who attended, both in person and virtually, and for all the people who gave input to the select board members prior to this meeting.
Yes, thank you.
And you are all very welcome to stay for the select board meeting and give us your feedback on other items as well, and we will be voting on this. The plan is to be voting on this tonight. Never. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks, guys. Bye, Doc.
Okay.
This is very scary. My time. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Lee.
Were you here when we talked about this?
No.
It was, I think, comparing his to Lost Valley. And, but I think Lost Valley is in a very different location.
Yep.
You guys could be asking for 5 minutes.
On a much
Yeah.
bigger property.
So,
You get 5 minutes.
Yeah.
you need 5 minutes?
Yes, I need 5 minutes. Do you want me to talk about this thing?
No.
We're going to recess for 5 minutes, and we'll call the select board meeting to order.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry I was late.
Sorry.
What's that?
That might be on camera.
Yeah, we don't need that. Here we take the time. Yeah, we had it.
I think we're good now.
We're good?
Yes.
All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to call this meeting of the Buckfield Select Board to order for Tuesday, July 21st, 2026 at 7:21 p.m. And we ran over a little bit. The original plan was to meet with the Budget Committee at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But we just got done with a public hearing. So we're okay procedurally, right? We can move forward with that?
Yep.
Just meet with the Budget Committee? Yeah, okay. So, you have mics? We will get you some. The Budget Committee is here.
Only
to
if you have
discuss
questions, just don't talk and you'll be all set.
the quarterly report with us.
Here, you guys can pass one around if you have questions. That way you don't have to all sit there. So we're going to start with 8.
And it's in here. There we go.
I do have a question here. Yes.
Yeah, just talk.
Now, this is end of last year's budget.
Yeah.
We're just going over it, this is what you spent. And the current budget is already stuff that's been already voted on.
Correct.
We're not here to do anything, just review it.
Just review it.
Okay, just checking.
Everybody's got a copy, right?
Yes.
Yep. So rather than me go over line by line, I'll hit on some. So fiscal year 26, which just ended on June 30th, the town spent approximately $5.289 million against an approved budget of $5.423, which represents approximately 97.5% of the total expenditure budget. So we had some areas where we didn't spend everything we budgeted for. In some areas where we spent more. As you know, when it comes to the departments, the way we vote on items is general government's general government. That includes assessing, it includes insurance, it includes the municipal center. Public safety is fire, rescue, animal welfare, streetlights, and hydrant rental, or whatever we call it these days. So at the end of the fiscal year, what we were left with, and this is factoring out solid waste because there was a slight overage in solid waste, which will come out of the solid waste bank account. We were left with $133,938 under budget. Most divisions of departments completed the year within their total appropriations. The largest was summer roads. Our paving came in under budget, which doesn't happen very often, but it was a nice reprieve. This kind of helped us in public safety because the fire department actually came in quite a bit under budget. And then we had discussed in budget meetings the fact that I didn't properly calculate the paid holidays and the coverage that we have on those paid holidays. So I'd already started the year with an issue of like $12,000. So the fire department was $31,000 under budget. Admin was $14,314. Assessing was approximately $11,673. That actually happened because where we combined the assessor and the code enforcement officer, I'm able to pay him out of both of those pockets. So assessing went down, which was represented in the budget that we had come up with, and that was approved. Cemeteries, as you know, back in the day, we used to bill out every public works employee that worked in each area, each department would get billed to that. Now all of that is in the public works budget. So it looks like we didn't spend anything on cemeteries, but we spent money on the cemeteries. It just came out of public works because that's where the labor was. And then the municipal center had approximately $85.52. I hit on the rescue department. It was roughly $35,000 over budget. We got a few things. Part of that was overtime. Part of that is paid family medical leave that's now mandated by the state. Not paid family medical leave, earned time. You knew what I meant. Sorry, my brain's fried. So those are added costs that, we're mandated to do that, I haven't budgeted for it in the past, and maybe it needs to be budgeted a certain amount of money specifically to cover that stuff. But with that many employees that have even 10 hours of earned time when they go to use it, it comes at a significant cost. So the insurance budget exceeded its appropriation, and that was mostly due to workman's compensation. Solid waste exceeded. This is actually a good thing, but solid waste was only over $3,397. If you guys remember the last 3 years, I think we have been over budget by 20 to 50,000. So we did a pretty good job at budgeting for that. Revenues were stronger than anticipated. Local revenues and state revenues separately exceeded estimates by approximately $174,210. So if you do the math of what carried over the fund balance from what wasn't spent plus what we took in revenues, we actually we didn't spend anything from fund balance. Actually, sorry, that's like $1,500 because 13,000 of the additional revenue is going to that rescue reserve for that ambulance. So essentially, out of fund balance last year, we only used approximately $1 to $2 grand.
Two questions up to this point. Under revenues, I was looking at this earlier and my pea brain was going nuts. A negative is a good thing, correct?
Sorry, yeah. So a negative on revenues is a good thing because that means we received an additional $104,000. So if you look at what was accepted by the voters, we'll just use administration, for example. When we accept local revenues, we accept it as a chunk, but on my reports, I break it down individually. So administration's portion of the total local revenues was 446, but we brought in 550. So that 104,000 is in addition to what the voters had already accepted.
Okay,
so that goes to fund balance.
Okay. And then back to the first page, Cam. So overall,
did I staple these backwards? I did. No, I didn't. Sorry, they're double-sided.
Yeah.
Joanne hates
You
that.
and your,
so
if you can't afford 25 cents for an extra piece of
again,
paper, I'm gonna give it to him.
the way the report reads, the unexpended balance at the bottom, we had 137,334 and change. That's what we didn't spend out of our overall budget.
Correct. So over here, a positive is a good thing.
Yeah. So where does that money go now?
It lapses to fund balance. The only situation in which it wouldn't lapse to fund balance is if when we had our election and we had voted to, like the town had voted to take whatever was left over in administration to go towards a new software program or something. Then it would be allocated and designated by the voters. It could go towards that and it wouldn't lapse to fund balance. But because the voters didn't do anything with it, because we didn't ask for anything to do with it, it's going to lapse to fund balance.
And that means, what does lapse in the fund? It just is,
the towns, so our policies, I actually think ours currently says our target is 60, but the auditors want us to maintain 90 days of operational funds. And then in addition to that, if you have surplus or extra above and beyond that, that's usually where that question comes in during annual town meeting, where the select board asks the voters to allow them to use a certain amount of fund balance to offset taxes. So it basically, instead of us having to tax you for whatever, we'll just say $100,000, they can use fund balance to reduce the amount that you're going to be taxed.
okay, thank you.
So for the last 2 years, it's been 300,000, but the last 2 years we have not used the full 300,000. I think last year it was 125,000 is what we actually used out of fund balance. And then this year it's that 1 to 2 grand. I actually miscalculated when I had it on my Post-it note. So I can't give you that figure right off the top of my head, but.
Generally speaking, you answered my question, where that money.
Perfect. And then the way I have this broken down too is the gray areas and the white areas. That's the way we vote. So gray up top, that first section, that's general government. That white section after that is public safety. Recs by itself, you've got community, which includes the library, the old church, general assistance, social services, debt service is debt service. And then public works, complex, public works department, summer roads, winter roads, and cemeteries are all public works. That's the department. Solid waste is its own thing because it's us and Sumner. Then obviously you have the school and you have county. So I just put that color in there so you can see what the town votes on.
Okay, thank you.
What else?
You do a great job keeping things on track.
One of the things that I will note, and I know I've talked to the board about it, I've talked at budget meetings about it, is the general ledger, when it was originally set up and we transitioned from NDS to Trio, it was never set up properly. So then we went a whole year of using it the way it was set up, and there's like 9 million accounts that don't really need to be there, but they've been used, so they have to stay there. So when the auditors were in last year doing the 2025 audit, I had mentioned like I'd like some help to kind of like get this smaller so that it makes sense and that we're not having a bunch of GL accounts that are covering the same stuff. They were supposed to give me a proposal, but as you may know, the auditing firms are so far behind right now. Like I still don't even have the results of our 25 audit. They were here, they did take everything, but they're backed up. So I haven't gotten that proposal to sit down with me and really hammer that out. So the GL section of the report is a mess, but it's because it's a mess on purpose, as I don't want to mess it up so that they can't figure it out. So everything that's in there, there's a trail in the system so that they can go back and figure out like, okay, this belongs here, this belongs here. Things like health insurance, right? Once you get the employer health insurance, for example, like their share, and then you get the employee share, like we currently have 2 separate accounts. It all goes to the same thing. It can be one account. So it's just little things like that that really need to be, we've got BMV fees and BMV taxes, and it's going to the BMV. It doesn't need to be 2 separate accounts, but for some reason it was set up that way. And then when I got here and I was still learning Trio, I tried to set it up because, as you can tell, I keep track of reserve accounts on spreadsheets that Cindy Dunning created years ago, and there's a reason I do that, because I tried to set up a separate fund for just reserves and then a separate fund for just trust funds, but reconciling them is a nightmare. It's easier to do in Excel. So I do all the reconciling in Excel. That's why some of the numbers don't match, because I put my focus on the Excel to make sure we have a true record of it, as opposed to trying to do 16 general ledger entries, trying to fix what the biggest difficulty is. If you go from fund 1 to fund 4 and money has to move in, like, or 2-4 from, say, a cemetery lot, you have to do like 4 different line transfers to make it happen. And it's very time consuming. So Excel works out a lot better on that. So that's the explanation on the GL and why it looks busy, but I'm working on it.
But there's a plan for the future,
Yep.
so by 2038.
2038.
We'll be looking
It'll
at
be
a more
perfect.
streamlined process.
I hate to say it, that's not very far away.
I know.
What else? All right, so property taxes, the town committed approximately a little over almost 3.6 million. We had collected 3.319 million, which is about 92.337 at the end of the year, with an outstanding balance of around 275,000. So that's actually a pretty good collection rate.
Yeah.
So all in, we finished the year well. I have since made adjustments to the rescue budget, which we discussed in the budget process, to account for those holidays, so that we don't end up in the hole before we even start. And other than that, whatever you guys have for questions for me, I know I jumped around all over the place. I had a plan, but.
All of this is online.
Yes, it's already on the budget committee's, the budget committee portion of the website. I've got all the financial reports for the last 3 years there.
So anybody who wants to see this, go to the town website and go to budget committee.
Yeah. Or they can go on tonight's agenda because it's in the packet.
Or tonight's agenda, so the same document, both places.
Yep.
Thank you.
No questions from the budget?
Questions.
It's too small.
I was going to ask this when you get into the last announcement we have everybody. I trust Cam explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pretend we had a town manager. So every week, past year, I've been coming to these meetings pretty much. Get the consent agenda, read it down through, it's always a motion to accept, a second to approve it, and no discussion. Rather than closing the barn door after the cows have left, do we have any documentation? Does the select board look at what they're voting on to approve at the end of that meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Every meeting.
You guys have the details before that meeting, so we know what you're approving to spend.
We do.
Okay, it's not in the agenda, so I didn't know if you saw it. It was
Right.
someplace or not.
So it's like the payroll, you can look at every line and see what,
Yeah,
and then we
that's right.
sign off, and then,
They
so.
have a selectmen's action, just ready for them.
So that's not in the regular agenda, it's on the board,
Right.
on the website, it's in your special package.
Right, because it lists every
Okay,
single.
that was my question.
Yep.
And I always bring the invoices from the APs in with me with the unsigned checks.
Okay.
So whenever they want to look at them.
That was my question, I was just.
No, it makes sense because you don't,
Wonderful question.
you know, it's not public knowledge that we, at the end of every meeting, we go through all that, we look at those, and they're signed before they're paid out. Yeah, but
And
yes.
all the invoices too. We've got them in the top drawer of the file cabinet over there alphabetically. So anytime they have a question, they can come in. Obviously, we don't stop them at the counter. They can come in and pull an invoice from anything that they want. So.
Just making sure we have the proper checks and balances in place. That's all.
Right. And I can assure you that we are light years ahead of where we started. When Cam and I first came on the board, it was rough. I mean, quarterly reports did we get?
No, the quarterly reports didn't start back up until,
yeah.
I mean, I had already been here for probably a year before they started happening again. Because I was still trying to figure out what I was doing.
Yeah.
So we are enjoying this new dawn, new day.
Absolutely. It's very nice. And to have the auditors, last time they were in, it was a very positive meeting. In fact, they said, you know, you might want to spend some money, which was like, I know I didn't say it out loud, right? But it was nice to hear, and nice to hear that Cam is keeping these things on track for us, because previously it was rough. It was. Cool.
And so the auditing process, like I was absolutely, once we finally got them in here, when we had the 3 years, I was petrified because it was like, for one, I wasn't here for half of this, so I don't even know where to begin. But after spending, I mean, at this point, I want to say probably 3 full weeks with them on 5 different years, they're pretty thorough too. Like they just randomly start selecting APs and they say, find me this invoice. You know, they want proof that the invoice is there. And then sometimes on your revenues, you know, it's like, where's the check stub so that you can verify that this is what it was. Like it's very intense.
As it should be.
And they sit me down and they're like, okay, so this happens and this happens. What's the procedure? What do you do? You know, and then they want me to sit in that chair and explain to them like what I go through to get from X to Y. Like, so I like it.
Yeah, they still sit with the town clerk and the deputy clerk.
Yeah.
They always go in the closed room too.
Yeah.
And ask questions. They think anything.
Are you counting the same drawer? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like, how do you handle it? Yeah.
And always just ask if you feel anything's going on.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, just from, you know, talking with folks around, you know, taxes are never a happy thing. You just want to make sure that we're spending them in the correct way.
Yes.
You know, As long as I can straight face and tell these people, yes, I'm good at that, you know, I just don't want to tell them something that isn't quite true.
Right.
Of course.
So as long as I can straight face it, that's a good thing.
Can you find me a street sweeper?
Other than that, that's all my comments and questions.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys coming and reviewing this with us. We can go through it and all have an understanding.
Wish I would have had it to you sooner, but it was due on the 20th and literally wrapping it up, and it's the end of the year, so sometimes you got invoices that are coming in that you're trying to get done, so it was really hard to like wrap it up on like the 6th day of the month because we hadn't even gotten half the invoices. So.
But if further questions come up,
Yeah.
you're always welcome to.
Well, Cam knows I'm not shy about questions.
Good.
If you do think of anything, just shoot me an email.
All right, so our next will be another quarter, we'll come in and do this again.
Yeah, we're what, July, August, September, October, November 20th is when it's due, so we'll have to figure out what the select board meetings are there.
Yeah, but the select board's good with that, we'll just do it again the same way, when we meet again.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hang around.
All right.
Candy's like, I'm out of here. I'm just kidding. I made her sit here 20 minutes longer. Thank you.
No, I came early because I wanted to look at this anyway.
Thanks for coming.
All right, so the consent agenda.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor? And the total on that's $118,779.31. Reports from the fire department.
I had already given you an April report, but since I hadn't done May, I just figured I'd roll the whole quarter into one. Adam submits all his hours and everything to me on the 15th, so. So for the final quarter of 2026, the fire department had 51 calls. They held 5 meetings, 5 department trainings. They had 318 call hours worked. Truck 2's had some issues with the starter. I believe it's reserved. It's been handled, but it's turning over slow again after having it replaced. And there was also a lighting issue. That was from back in April. In May, Truck 2, during its annual service, broke its brackets. We thought that was going to cost a lot of money to get fixed. Basically, they were greasing the ladder and servicing it, inspecting it, and when they went to go turn it, everything just sheared off. It ended up only being a couple metal brackets that Greenwood was able to rebuild and get the ladder back in service, and I think it cost like $2,000, so it wasn't, I was thinking they were going to have to replace the whole piece, and that would have had to be built to order, and it would have been out of service for months, so. They had their annual hose testing done, pump testing, and service is scheduled for September this year. Tanker 1, we've got an issue with the turbo. They had a clamp that broke, and then after inspecting it, it needs to be rebuilt or replaced. And if we rebuild it, it will, it's risky because it may not, it's more labor intensive and it may not solve the problem. Whereas we just replace it with a new one and be done with it, or a reman one and be done with it. So I got that estimate. I actually should probably grab that, and we should probably discuss that under other business because it is over $5,000. But that needs to be taken care of. We're looking at other options as far as vendors that could try doing it. We got a quote from Rebel, who usually services our trucks. We just want to do our due diligence and just price it out elsewhere so that I can bring it to you. So yeah, I probably won't have 3 quotes before the end of this meeting, so I will reach out to all of you so that you can review them. So yeah, right now Tanker 1 is out of service at the moment, but between the quint and the engine, we've got plenty of water and plenty of truck. So
Could you ballpark the quote that we do have?
Well, so the one that I do have, it's a little over 7,000, but a bunch of that is cores. So as long as the cores can be returned, I think close to 2,500 to $3,000 comes off of it. So it would kind of put it under the 5,000, but I don't know. There are cheaper ways to do it. Like I can buy the same exact turbo online, but then if your core is bad, you got to send it out. And if it's bad, you don't get the credit. So you're taking a chance with it. So Adam reached out to me today about looking at that option, but where it's an emergency vehicle and.
Don't take chances with fire trucks.
Well, I mean, it's the same part. You can just find it.
No,
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I haven't had a chance to talk to Adam because I was prepping for the public hearing in this meeting. So I'll talk to him more tomorrow and then I'll reach out to you guys as what's going on. And then I didn't put it under the reports because it came in today. I just wanted you all to be aware that, so we still haven't gotten the funds from the Jim Jordan estate. They're still working through his taxes and accounting and everything to finalize that. But the law firm of the estate reached out and said that they had the signed personal representative's deeds of distribution for the property. So they dropped that off at the registry of deeds. So those should be recorded here shortly and the property's finally in our name.
Cool.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Approval of the minutes from the July 7th, 2026 Select Board meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the July 7th, 2026 Select Board meeting as written.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I was not here for this meeting, but I was wondering under 11 public comments, there's no note about the financial comment that was made.
Let's see.
I could have sworn I typed it up. Why is it not on here? I may not have updated the packet after I typed it.
Okay.
So what was written there was that Jill had brought up that if there was, and I'm not quoting, I'm verbatim, was that if there was a financial issue, because we were discussing the Buckfield property that Judy was wondering why the town hadn't done anything about it. And I had made the comment that, well, we didn't budget tens of thousands of dollars to condemn houses and tear them down because that would come at our expense. And I believe Jill had mentioned that maybe it would make sense to get help in the office to apply for grants. Is that pretty close?
Yeah.
That's how I'm remembering it. So like I said, I want to say verbatim, not quote.
Yeah, then for resident, for budgeting next year for you can.
And the spin-off on that was, my comment may have been taken out of context, was when I wrote the budget, I didn't know if this was going to pass. So I didn't budget, for enforcement of this ordinance at that kind of scale.
Yeah.
That's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a process and we have to work through it and try to make wise decisions as.
Let me see what I had in there really quick. That way I can read it to you as it was written. If not, I'll go back in a minute, or what we just said.
That's what I had assumed it was a microphone.
I didn't think you were silencing.
No. I made sure I put it in there, and I yeah, see, on that one it's there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Didn't show up.
So I said, Jill Piper stated that if the town is having financial issues due to the property maintenance ordinance, then she suggested hiring someone to help the town manager and also seek out grants to help. That's what I had wrote.
Just wanted to make sure she's behaving herself and I'm not here to supervise.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
if you're fine with that verbiage and you want to approve it based off that.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. Discussion on the proposed amendments to the Town of Buckfield property maintenance ordinance.
I couldn't remember if you wanted this on this agenda or if you wanted it on a later agenda, so if it's not something you wanted on this one, then you can.
Well, I brought some thoughts and ideas and language that I found and that other people had shared with me. I don't know, does anybody else have?
Is it reflected here?
It's not in the
Okay,
email.
okay.
So I guess as I continue to work on this, some things to talk about. When we talk about trash or garbage and rubbish, where are we here? Where is it that, I'm sorry.
I see the garbage and rubbish under F, section 3 definitions. F.
Right.
Sorry, I don't know if that's your question.
So as I looked at this and I went through, I read many property maintenance ordinances throughout the state, and I also went through state statutes. Does it make sense to me to use the language in the state statutes in our ordinance, wherever that would fit? But in talking about refuse, garbage, and trash, that as long as it is in an appropriate receptacle, trash can with a lid, or a dumpster, I mean, I'm thinking that's fine. If you want to have 3 dumpsters on your property, as long as it fits within the building codes and where they need to be, as long as it doesn't smell. I saw a lot of places talking about an accumulation of trash. Well, how do you measure accumulation? Maybe some people go to the transfer station, and this goes to a whole other discussion, but once a month, or, depending on what it is. So how should we define how much or where or what? If somebody wants to line up 15 trash cans with lids along their garage, put their trash in, as long as it's not harboring rodents or impacting the neighbors.
I don't think that would be a violation of this ordinance. It says household trash, but it
Well, I'm just looking at if updating the language as I'm working on this. I don't want to spend time working on something that the board isn't interested in. And when I think about where this started and the concerns that people had, that it would be important that we have measurable language as far as junk and trash and waste and how much is too much.
So the way I read this in its current form, refuse, household trash, junk, debris, scrap lumber, or metal in public view. If you take a trash bag and put it in a container, it's not in public view. It doesn't say that trash receptacles are a violation of this ordinance. a pile of scrap lumber sitting next to the road in public view would be a violation. Now, if that's behind your house and outside of public view, that's not a violation. So in regards to that, I think there's already, I mean, for junk, it defines it as discarded scrap or salvaged materials, including but not limited to metal, paper, rags, glass, plastic, and parts of machinery or vehicles. So I think there's a measurable definition, and then where it states in public view several times throughout the ordinance, that would be the measurable, can you see it from public view?
But I would not want somebody to have 60 bags of trash behind their house that nobody can see. If it's not in appropriate receptacle. Is what I'm thinking.
That's where you get kind of tough at that point, because
It becomes a health officer standpoint if it's harboring, well, it does say rodent harborage, so if you've got 20 bags of trash sitting in a pile in your backyard, I almost can guarantee you there's going to be rodents that are going to, you're going to be harboring rodents. So in that situation, if it became a reportable issue or something that came to Manny's attention and it was investigated, I think it would involve the health officer plus in regards to this, that it's something that would need to be done.
So looking at modifying the language is not my agenda. It's people in town having concerns.
Yeah.
If this body doesn't want to modify this, if this body wants to modify this and would like me to do the work, tell me what should be modified.
My question is if it would make more sense and if it would even be kind of kosher in the first place to establish a policy when it comes to enforcing this ordinance, rather than amending the ordinance itself and bringing it back to a ballot. If we're only making minor linguistic changes or bringing like clarifying points to the language that already exists, should it just be a select board policy of the enforcement of this ordinance that is developed rather than amending the ordinance itself, if that makes sense?
It'd be very difficult in a court of law to be like, well, our policy said this and this is why we did it. So like having the language written into the ordinance doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I mean, it would still have to go before the voters and the voters would have to approve whatever amendments were being made, but I get where Sandra's saying clarifying some of it would make sense. And then it's essentially local law that this is how it is. And maybe the vagueness was unintentional.
And purpose of this is not to be critical of this document, it's to respond to what folks have expressed. I spent time driving around and looking at houses and looking at structures and looking at buildings. And for me, I'm thinking about safety, but let's say that that a window is broken and that they take care of the glass and they cover it with plywood. And that's the best that they can do right now. Is that super attractive? Maybe not. Maybe it is to some people. Is that what people, but that's not a safety issue. And I'm thinking peeling paint. If there are parts where the paint is worn away, if paint is coming off in big strips that's falling on the ground and could end up in the river or, with animals, then that's a problem. If, things are rotting to the point where it could collapse. But, and the other piece is just thinking about wanting to use this as a legal document to enforce it, that if someone were to be cited for their peeling paint, but they say, well, that house has peeling paint. how did the,
Who makes the decision on how much peeling
how
paint
did,
is too much?
right, the code enforcement officer decide how to enforce that? Just if what we're looking for is something to go to court, is where, and are there areas in here that, yeah, I'm thinking as far as, vegetation, that it would just be a matter of, if it's presenting a safety hazard, you know, if it's blocking the view of drivers or whatever, or it's harboring rodents. But, you know, if somebody wants their front lawn to be a hayfield,
I mean, my impression of what we were doing with this ordinance was that we would not be going after people for single property issues, like just peeling paint, just overgrown vegetation. It's that it would be the eyesore properties that are very visible in public view, that have many of these issues compounding on one another, is what the select board, which again is why I think that an enforcement policy would be useful as not just guidance for future boards to look for with our intent with this ordinance, but also so the public knows that we're not trying to litigate small issues, that it's our policy that this is strictly to address like major problem properties and not, be needlessly litigious with it. Because another aspect of this that isn't written into the ordinance and perhaps isn't obvious to people is that there's a financial cost for every property that we decide to enforce with this ordinance. So my understanding of the ordinance was not that these tiny details would be really actionable. It's that compounding issues would be actionable through this ordinance.
and I agree, I think that is the intent. But again, I'm just going with the grass 10 inches is one I was getting 3 or 4 times a day from people. You know, what are you going to do, measure my lawn? And that was never the intent.
Yeah.
So, you know, the intent is for safety, to prevent.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's worth asking the town attorney, but that's one of those things, you know, if I only pull you over for speeding, they're speeding too. And you go to court and you say, I'm the only one that got pulled over for speeding and everybody's speeding. I don't know, does that play a role in how things would play out?
Never worked for me.
But I'm just, right, if everybody's grass is long and that's included in something for somebody, and that isn't why, it wouldn't just be the grass, but
Right.
I want to make sure that this document does what we intended it to do.
Right.
And
And I agree with Azalea. I think the biggest problem is those properties that are just not safe to be around or are not nice to look at, and that the neighbors shouldn't have to look at them. But other than, I lived here a long time. In my first house, I'll tell you, when I first moved in, I didn't own a lawnmower. My grass was high. And I don't want to measure your grass, and I don't want your neighbor to have to measure your grass. It is what it is. So, I agree with Azalea that this is just
But we're also not out looking for this. We're responding to complaints.
Yeah.
Right.
That should be worth it.
Sure. Right.
Good point, yeah.
So
This all
it's
gets
just
stuck.
things like composting, approved composting containers. What I might think of as an acceptable composting container and what you think of or what you think of may be two very different things. So what is an approved composting?
And whose approval does it need?
Well, I think we
I
just
mean,
need to define,
Yeah,
this is.
but as long as it's a
what's-
composting pile, I mean, structure, or you don't even need a structure, just a pile.
But this says container,
I
so
know,
does it?
I know.
This is what I'm just,
Yeah.
Perhaps my question is one more for MMA, because this, again, is something that I see as being able to outline in a policy, so that it's not going to a ballot referendum every time we want to update which container compost is able to go in. If
well, this is where I'm
composting
thinking
container-
not to have language like that, but to be more,
So like striking the compost language altogether, or?
I kind of like where you're getting at. With the policy, you, just like a fee schedule, right?
Right.
Right.
You would define what those are in your policy.
And it's not the, I guess, I don't know if I'm using this word right, the cudgel that we're taking to court about this issue, but it's the supporting document and the guidance that the current select board is using when determining when to implement these policies against specific property owners. Because the way I see it, it's like if we're not, as long as we're not trying to broaden the scope of what's happening in this ordinance, then a policy as a guiding document and something that the select board maintains is a good way to communicate.
language more like maintained in safe, sanitary, and non-hazardous manner, and not contribute to negative blighting conditions. Then that just is incumbent upon us to show how something is unsafe, unsanitary, or hazardous without listing specifics. And for whatever it's worth, I did like this language because I know one of the concerns is property value. And so this wording, which I borrowed from somebody else, to set a minimum standard for the condition and maintenance of the exterior of all buildings and structures and premises surrounding such buildings and structures in the village of Buckfield in order to protect the safety and economic well-being of the town's inhabitants. The appearance of the town as an attractive, safe, clean, and welcoming community is extremely important to the economic health of its residents. Buildings and grounds which are not safely and reasonably maintained have a negative blighting effect, not only on the immediate surrounding properties, but on the community as a whole and the town's economy. That the ordinance is intended to require property owners to maintain their properties in good repair in order to preserve the community's safety and welfare.
Yeah.
No, I do like the language, and I agree with what it says, because this has been an issue since I was riding school buses, is driving around my town and being embarrassed by the way it looks, and having kids from other towns make comments on where I'm growing up, and then the impression it leaves people who are prospectively buying properties in this community or wanting to establish a business in the community.
And so then, therefore, it's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
It's not just about you're harming your neighbor's resale value, but there's a bigger potential harm happening for the economy of the town.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I do think that one of the bigger questions here is it worth bringing to the ballot, or is that language that we could include in a policy for this board to adopt as guidance for why we're doing this and implementing this ordinance?
I agree with that idea, with a policy.
We could at least start there and like incorporate that language, and then if it gets to a point where we feel like we should bring it back to a ballot, that's always an option. I'm not necessarily opposed to it.
So what would you like the policy to look like?
I'm imagining like fronting, top of the document being the board's intent in seeking out this policy and the intent in enforcing the policy. And then below that, definitions and clarifying language on, what constitutes the approved composting container. or, that sort of language. I definitely don't think you're off track with the work you're doing here. It's apparent that there is confusion about this ordinance, the language in it or lack thereof, and then the intent for implementing it. So I definitely think that needs to be addressed. I'll keep working.
Good. Yes?
I would just be worried about like language getting too restrictive. Because we're talking about like a composting container. Like, I don't want it to get HOA, like I don't want to become an HOA town.
That's what everybody was calling this, the HOA
But
ordinance.
this is what I'm suggesting, we take the composting container right out.
Okay, okay, that's fine. I'm just saying, I just kept saying and I'm like, composting containers, someone who just bought one, can be extremely expensive.
Right.
So
See, it
I
says
don't
here,
want, like,
approved composting container, so what is that? Whereas if we
but
just
I
got
don't
rid of
want it, I don't want it to say an approved composting container,
Right.
and then you say
It's not gonna
X,
be-
Y, and Z from
Yeah,
wherever.
it's not gonna be that. It's
That's
gonna
all.
be like, it has to be like a certain amount of dimensions, because again, that only applies to properties that are less than an acre. So how big can one composting container, what are we looking for? Like, it can't be just
When I first,
unenforced chicken wire bucket. that
when I first moved
overflows.
here, the transfer station handed out composting containers.
Yeah, that's something that we built into the CRP grant, at least a compost
Oh,
collection container, because people will be able to bring their compost to the dump, should that section of it be approved. It's not like composting containers for individual backyards, but it's to facilitate that, because it's a huge
Good.
driver of solid
Yeah, I
waste.
don't, yeah.
But yeah, it's not again, a policy can be amended by the board at any time. So if we were to produce a policy and someone were to have a problem with it down the line, that next meeting, we could be changing it and clarifying that language. But I agree with you. It's not like, wanting to define necessarily the brand and like the style or whatever. But just clarifying language on acceptable composting container means a like solid established container, that sort of stuff. Yeah, of course.
I don't want us to get.
No, of course.
Get too fancy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Great point.
Yes?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, ultimately, the town voted for this. And people who don't want it can always come here and talk about it. Is there like a grievance process? Drop a note, we can.
There's an amendment process. It can be initiated by the select board or by a petition of the number of voters equal to at least 10% of votes cast in the municipality at the last gubernatorial election. So they
But
can.
instead of harassing Sandra about it, perhaps people could actually go through the formal process of getting it.
I don't see it as harassment. People are calling or emailing or stopping in to see me as a select board member expressing concerns. So I don't have any.
It's not really a formal avenue for making a claim.
I mean, it's not coming to the rest of the board, that's for sure. Because
But
it's like I hear
not
chatter.
about a specific property. It's concerns about the language of the ordinance.
Yeah, but they were able to come to the meeting when this was drafted and they put it in those concerns, and ultimately the town voted for it. So it's kind of like a done deal unless they want a formal process. Really not the board's responsibility, not really fix it. I think Azalea's idea of writing, like how the enforcement can go is something that's happy to address the issues, but ultimately, like, people need to be more civically prior.
I do think that as with all things, it would be ideal for people to take more official avenues when it comes to providing feedback on these things. Because someone stopping into Sandra's store and her communicating that to the board here is not the same as us all getting an email in our inbox from the source itself. So thank you for taking comments outside of select board avenues, but I do see the point that she's trying to make where we're not all getting the feedback other than, I mean, at least for me, like I don't have any emails directly in my inbox or text messages or phone calls saying explicitly these worries. It's just kind of like a background chatter that I might catch on the Facebook group or, you know, that sort of stuff.
I think if you sat outside the store, you'd
Yeah.
I do take notes. I do document.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not trying to suggest that any of it is illegitimate too. Just another instance of where some more official avenues of communication would be ideal for, I think, the board as a whole. But thank you for bringing it onto the agenda.
Yes.
Just a clarification point. So townspeople did not come in here and meet with us and write this up with us. This was presented to us as a select board, and we presented it to the town. So this was already in process, and we presented to the town to vote on. It wasn't something that we discussed.
They voted it in. And there was like some mediation.
Yeah, the required public hearing, discussion about it after the first time it showed up on the agenda.
So you don't mind working on some policy language to bring us?
Even if it's just identifying the language that you mentioned from state statute, like I can help you pull together like a policy page or two.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Anybody who has anything they want to send me, then I can incorporate that. So if there's something you want to include.
I just have a follow-up question. Just to keep us here a little bit longer. So, because I know this is like a new thing. Like, we haven't ever had like a property ordinance before. But like, in order to make this a policy, because again, not saying that Sandra's making this stuff at all, because she's the one that's obviously talking to the public way more than anybody else. But like, how should you move forward with like starting to enact like policies on the public that have voted for said ordinance to be in, like, how many people need to complain or make comments for you to now be like, okay, like, because from just sitting on the outside, it sounds like Sandra and Peter are like the two people that might be getting, so like the rest of you aren't getting the complaint, just from what Azalea has said. So it's like, when do you choose to now say, okay, we're gonna make a policy to say, to talk about this specific ordinance? Why isn't it, like, why do not the other ordinances, you know what I mean? I know it's very confusing, because it just popped into my head, and I don't have a clear, like, structure for how I should say this. But it's just like, I'm just wondering about, in case future ones come, like, how do we pick and choose which ones you now write a policy about versus, I don't have a good one for you, like, compare this to.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Kinda?
Yeah.
Ish?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if I had heard nothing at all about this and Sandra was the only one bringing it up, I might have more questions, but it's like, there were some very strong initial reactions once the ballot measure passed that were very, visible, at least on public forums. And then even talking to some folks outside of the public forums or who don't participate themselves have that same concern about this being like the Buckfield HOA or whatever, and that not being the intent, and there being so much opportunity to clarify language and intent. I think that justifies a policy. Again, like Cameron's mentioned, the policy isn't strong, like for a legal case, at least not without a foundation like this, which is exactly why we didn't decide to make a property maintenance policy and we committed it to an ordinance. I don't think that there's a solid threshold for when the select board makes policies pertaining to ordinances, but it's like if there's enough community engagement and discussion about it, it justifies at least a select board discussion. or
Yeah,
public
yeah,
forum.
yeah, I just was wondering, I guess I'm just nervous about legal ramifications when we start like going down this rabbit hole of like, you know, possibly this one, and then what about this one?
Really, it's a policy for how the code enforcement officer is going to enforce it.
Yeah, it's like guidance for future boards
Okay,
and for current staff.
That's very different than, I guess, kind of what I was hearing. So that's,
No, thank you for asking the clarifying question.
Sorry if I spoke out of tune. That's how my interpretation is, but I could be wrong.
But as far as what's the threshold to bring something to the select board, every concern that is brought to me by a community member, if I can't answer their question or give them information that already exists, I bring it to the table. Every single one. So it's not whether it's 15 people or 200 people or one person.
Yeah.
If they have a concern, it comes to the table.
yeah, I'm not asking you about like what the threshold is to have a discussion. I just am asking, what was the threshold? Like, what in the future, is there a like threshold that should be discussed about, okay, we need to do. But again, my question was not clear. I understand that.
No.
It just popped into my head, like as I was sitting here, I haven't heard us like new to getting into the community.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to know, like, if somebody is like, okay, so why did they all of a sudden decide to make policies? I don't wanna, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yep.
Sandra brought up, and then everybody's like, well, why does Sandra get to decide that all of a sudden we need to make a policy on it?
Sandra doesn't decide.
I know, I understand Sandra doesn't get to decide, you're the person that's saying the stuff, so I'm just using you as my example.
Right, but this is being recorded and I know that's gonna be taken out of context and all over Facebook tomorrow.
Somebody's gonna make a
That's not
soundbite.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And
so,
can anyone has a concern, come to Cam or somebody to get it added to the agenda for discussion?
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's like specific avenue.
And people can write and present their own policies and ordinances to the select board as well. There's an immense amount of power in local government.
And if the select board refuses to hear them, there's the process of taking out a petition. And I mean, it's really not even that many signatures. I think it's like, what, 10%?
Yeah.
It might be 90 if that.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's that many.
Probably not in a gubernatorial, I guess. this one will
Just
probably
one
be-
clarification
Yeah.
on the policy procedure and how we decided to all of a sudden
And I
go.
think it's nuanced. I think it's nuanced too, because it's like where this is a ordinance that was just enacted versus an ordinance that was enacted 10 years ago. Like a 10-year ago one might warrant like a fresh ballot measure,
Yeah.
but where this is like brand spanking new, perhaps some
Yeah.
intent and some clearer definitions and policy form will
Yeah.
satisfy
And that's
people.
fine, because I've been concerned about
Yeah.
code enforcement.
Of course.
Enforce this
Yeah,
without like,
Absolutely.
yeah, very grass elimination.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
No
agree.
one's
I just
breaking
was
out.
like, I was getting confused as to what this policy was and what it was going to say.
Yeah.
all right, we all set to move on? I'm gonna make a motion that we extend the meeting till the close of business, since we're clearly gonna go beyond 8:30.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right. New business, the Bucket Grill and Pub liquor license and special amusement permit application.
All right, for the purposes of discussion, I would like to make a motion that we approve the special amusement permit application received on July 7th, 2026 for the Bucket Grill and Pub with the following changes. 1B, that the time 10:30 PM be changed to 10:15 PM. 1C, I don't know if we want to turn this into two lines, but between the hours of 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. on Friday and 11 a.m. to 11:15 p.m. on Saturday. And then in part, item number 2, that all ending times be 11:15 p.m. And that the June 12th, 2027 outdoor event be removed, and that we add an event for August 14th, 2027 from 11 a.m. to 11:15 p.m.
We should change the date, June 5th, 6th, we no longer include the 6th.
Thank you. And because we're going back from, it's not going to be 12 the following day, it would just be, so May 22nd, June 5th, June 26th, July 17th, July 31st, and August 14th.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Question on the last one here. You can take that one off. Beyond the-
Well, I think we were amending that to say the 14th, which is the last day of his license.
But to also, we'll be removing August 21st, 22nd date because that's beyond the scope of his liquor license, so it will not be included in this permit.
Gotcha. Still good with that
You
motion?
seconded that, right?
Still seconding.
You're still good with that?
Still seconding.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor? All right.
We also need to approve his liquor, his request for his liquor license too. That's a separate motion.
Oh, I see.
I gave that to you guys last meeting.
Gotcha.
And I've received a request from the state, but I can't sign off on it, so I just need the authority to say yay or nay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Bucket Grill and Pubs local liquor license
I'll second.
for 2026,
Sorry.
2027.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? All right. Buckfield Mall request for additional agency liquor store license.
I'd like to make a motion that, I'm not even, does it allow that the select board support the Buckfield Mall's request to put in an application for an agency liquor store license to the state of Maine.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Is that what
So-
they're after?
They're just requesting through the state to apply for a liquor license? Is that what I read?
Right, because it's further on in the package,
Right.
it explains because our population's under
Oh.
2,000, we can only have one liquor license in the town. But we could, as a board, approve a second one. Ultimately, it's up to the state. They'd have to put in an application,
Okay.
and it would say that the board would allow a second.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to
It
me.
requires a municipal letter signed by the select board to say
They can apply.
we're.
It doesn't mean they're gonna get it.
Right, okay.
You guys could write a letter to them saying we support this, and they can say, no, we don't agree.
Okay.
And the board could also decide they don't support it. Part of the discussion is, and Peter and I talked about this, I think we should abstain
Okay.
from voting.
So with that said, what I did here, I'll just give you guys a copy. I assumed that Peter and Sandra were probably going to abstain. So this is just a template. You guys can change it however you want. If you decide to support it, if you don't, then this is irrelevant, but. I mean, really the only, if you look at the census estimates since the 2020 census, which let's face it, it's been 6 years since that census, and that was during COVID. I don't think that was, I mean, this is my personal opinion, I don't think the census was very accurate to begin with. Because Buckfield lost like 100 and something residents, which doesn't make any sense to me. But we've had a lot of construction in this town over the last 6 years, and the estimates that are out on the census website are definitely over 2,000.
And if it is over 2,000, then
would've-
they don't need our permission.
Right, but they use the what's it called?
Census or
The
whatever.
centennial, whatever the term is they use for that census, that's the number that they use. So that number won't get updated with them until 2030. And I just used the estimate as an example as to why we would think that it's over the current, so. I was just trying to put something in a letter that you guys could look at and modify however you saw fit, rather than come here and say, oh, I don't have a letter for you to look at.
I certainly
Works for
don't
me.
see, yeah, I don't see any reason not to support them. All right.
I would say, since Sandra made that motion, right? So I would think if you rescinded your second, you rescinded your motion, then you three could make a motion.
Yeah.
So that they could abstain if that's what they choose to do.
I'll rescind my second.
I'll rescind my motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
That we send this letter off.
I will second.
All right, further discussion? All those in favor? Those abstaining? Thank you. All right. We covered the quarterly fiscal report. Select board comments? Nope. Okay. Public comment? One online? Oh,
I'm going to be public right now.
okay.
This isn't town manager me, this is just me as a taxpayer concerned that we have an ordinance in town for adult marijuana facilities. And one of the requirements in that ordinance is that your taxes have to be paid up. And I think it's like we have building permit ordinances. You could owe 4 years of taxes before the town takes it. And now we issue a building permit on a property they already can't keep up with the taxes, which is going to add to the tax value. But with that said, like the special amusement ordinance, right? I think in the future, the board should look at proposing amendments to some of the ordinances, not just out of like a punishment, but like if you're struggling to pay your taxes, you know, building new structures or doing things like that that are going to add to that may be something worth incorporating into those ordinances until the taxes are taken care of. I'm not going to point fingers or anything. I just, it's hard issuing permits when I have to go send out lien letters.
Thank you. Yeah, so.
Or as a citizen, it's hard to see permits being issued when the town is sending out leave.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand you know, people struggle, right? You know, everything's.
No, but you're speaking not as the town manager
Right,
right
no.
now, as a citizen.
But I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And
a lot of
again, it
sense.
would have to go before voters anyways, but I just think that's something that would be worth
I think
It's a discussion that should be.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Hinckley.
All right, I'm back.
All right. Town manager.
Thank you for attending our meeting.
Any other public comment? Was there something you wanted under other business? Oh, the air intake for.
Yeah, so I only have that one estimate.
Did you need a vote or do you want to
Since
hold
it's
off?
over 5,000, we're supposed to collect 3 estimates. on it.
The board,
So where he does have people that he can seek those estimates
Oh,
out.
you can get them, so we're all set.
it's gonna slow down the process. So the board has the discretion to waive that.
Mm.
There is an emergency vehicle that's currently down.
Right.
I have an estimate for a little over 7,000. Can I go grab the estimate so I can see how much it actually
There's very
is?
limited people you want working on that thing, so.
Right. And
Yes, please.
like he mentioned earlier when I was asking about it, like they can be reimbursed for the core, which like the
Yeah.
reimbursement would dip them back below $5,000 technically, even though you'd
Well-
expend the $7,000 first and then be credited back.
Yeah, we should
My
probably give them, if I were to make a recommendation, you'd say up to so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that it can happen.
It can happen, it can get fixed.
Yeah.
Well, my husband would sleep a lot better.
Yeah.
He's so stressed
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I was out with them putting out tree fires.
Yeah, I know, wasn't that something?
That was impressive, yeah.
He's got pictures of it, he was so impressed.
All right, so the estimate that I have, but it includes the core charges, is for $7,797.78. Okay, I forgot how to calculate. How much? 0.78 subtract. So it's still over 5,000. So if both the cores from the turbo actuator and the turbocharger itself are good and they go back, the bill would be $5,703.39. The truck's already been out of service for
3 weeks?
3
Oh,
weeks.
that's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah, I think it's been about that.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because we ran around last week, I think, looking for parts for it.
But we could approve you up to that amount just to.
And then allow
Who
it.
was this estimate from?
This estimate's from Rebel Truck. They're the mobile service and repair company that we use to service our trucks regularly. And honestly, the bulk of this is the turbo, which is $3,085. I mean, I did price out some of them online. That seems like a fair price for that exact part. If you don't use an aftermarket for an emergency vehicle, you might as well.
Please don't.
So it is what it is. We need the turbo. I don't necessarily think we're going to find, it's not worth saving $200 on and having the truck out of service for 2 months.
Right.
Trying to figure it out is what I'm trying to get at.
Right. Nope.
I would just as soon be able to tell Adam, just go ahead and get it fixed. The board has the discretion to waive that process. You don't want you don't just want anybody working on your fire trucks.
No. So what was the total before the core charges?
$7,797.78.
So I'll make a motion that we forego bidding, not bidding,
Quote seeking.
yeah, quote seeking, and allow the town manager to spend up to $8,000 to replace the turbo on whichever truck that is.
Tanker one.
Tanker one.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
I'll have another one for Public Works for you soon.
Oh.
It's the rear end that we had talked about and we put off for the last 3 months, but we gotta get that fixed before winter.
All right. Any other? Nope.
Now that I've been made aware of the situation with a town employee, I think we need an executive session, make sure that everybody's aware and the board to decide how to move forward.
Oh, okay.
All right.
You need to say the statute.
So that's personnel.
4056A.
4056A. So I'll make a motion, we enter executive session pursuant to, where is it? Let me find it.
One MRSA.
One MRSA, subsection 405(6), what was it?
I believe it's A.
Huh?
I believe it's A, to discuss a
A.
personnel.
To discuss a personnel matter.
I'll second.
Everybody's in favor? Okay.
Mute that and shut off the camera.
Yes, I have to go edit that. Anyways, you come out and take it.
We're good?
Yes.
All right. We were in executive session to discuss personnel matter. We're coming out now. I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 9:05 PM.
All in favor? Thank you.